Welcome to the Silverthorne Pulse. I'm Kim Jardam with the Town of Silverthorne, and I'm here today with Town Manager Ryan Highland.
Hello.
We are here for a recap of our work session and Town Council meeting on Wednesday, August 24th, 2022. So Ryan, let's jump right into work session. We talked at work session with council about the review of the short-term rental survey draft that was presented to them that evening.
Yeah, so we another work session focused on short-term rental conversation, and we did work on some kind of final edits, if you will, to a short-term rental survey that's going to go out to the community. And also in that meeting selected September 12th as a date for a open house on the short-term rental topic at the Silverthorne Pavilion. So if folks are interested in that, mark the calendar. We're going to do a morning session, midday session, and an evening session. And as we frequently do, we'll tempt folks with some good food and opportunity to get feedback at the pavilion. And we will be sending out a variety of different communications, our social media channels, emails that we have for folks on different newsletters, and then we'll use the old postal service to send out an actual physical mailer that'll have a QR code. So we're trying everything we can to get that survey link out in everybody's hands so that they can provide their feedback on short-term rentals. As we had talked about on the last episode, similar conversation. We've got a map that's out there that's a concept of how a cap could be implemented to limit the total number of short-term rentals in Silverthorne, and so that will be a big part of the survey. 10% cap is a concept in the majority of areas in Silverthorne, and then a 50% cap in the downtown and kind of the downtown riverfront area. So I really encourage everybody to take that survey and provide their feedback, and we'll see where that conversation goes.
Great. It's an important topic right now. As we know, Summit County and Breckenridge have both recently put out surveys as well to their folks in the community to get feedback as well, and they're moving forward with regulations too. Yeah,
not many communities are not talking about short-term rentals, particularly in the Mountain West, so big topic.
Definitely. So then as we move into the town council meeting itself, we had two action items on August 24th. The first one was the preliminary site plan for Treeline Row Homes. And so that was approved. Can you tell us a little bit about the Treeline Row Homes and where they are in Silverthorne and what that product is?
Yeah, so a couple of landmarks that people are probably familiar with. Obviously the new Market Hall and then the Stinker gas station are right in that area. So it was also formerly the Bank of the West. So if people know the Bank of the West property, that's the one that we're talking about. And more transformation from kind of more suburban style bank with a parking lot to what was proposed and approved on first reading was the mixed use proposal. So you've got retail ground floor and then residential above. So continuing with kind of that downtown theme. There were some nuances to that conversation related to parking, and so the applicant will be working with staff. They may be providing some parking, some street parking that they would construct to meet the parking requirements. And then council had some conversation about the architecture, particularly right at the corner. It's a corner lot, and so kind of an important focal point at that intersection, and council having an interest in the applicant working with staff to figure out how to do something that's really engaging at a pedestrian scale there. So that was the preliminary site plan. So the applicant goes back and digs in, works in more detail, and then they would come back to Planning Commission and ultimately council again, seeking final approval.
Great. And that project, it's my understanding, is 16 units and 3 commercial spaces.
Right.
Great. Excellent. So the next item, the next action item is an ordinance. It's Ordinance 2022-20.
Okay.
And it was approved on first reading, and I just wanted to touch base on first reading versus second reading and what that process looks like.
Right, so anything that's done by ordinance in Silverthorne, we do a first reading and a second reading. And that just provides the council and the community really two opportunities to mull that over, make changes in between first and second reading if needed. The council does have an opportunity, if you found yourself in an emergency situation, to do an emergency ordinance, which would be one reading. But for routine things, generally we do first and second reading. So you're right, this was first reading. In some communities, the only opportunity for the public to comment would be at one of those, not both. All of our town council meetings, whether it's a public hearing or an action item, you will hear the mayor invite the public to comment, even though that's not part of the code requirement. So at any given time, the public's welcome to comment on any of those items.
That's great. So that particular ordinance is the Adams Avenue Extension project, and what that ordinance did was authorize you, the town manager, to execute a contract to purchase property in order to, for an Adams Avenue right-of-way, in order to connect the Willowbrook neighborhood to the Smith Ranch neighborhood.
Right. So I think we've probably got a map we could put on screen to orient folks, and I think technically it was a Public Service Company of Colorado's building, but if you're familiar with the Smith Ranch, there's a kind of very light green colored old concrete building on the north end of the Smith Ranch neighborhood, and that's the parcel that we're looking to purchase, and council has given the go-ahead on first reading to do that. And like you said, the purpose of that purchase is to make that Adams Avenue connection to the Willowbrook neighborhood. And I think that the primary opportunity there is to connect the Smith Ranch neighborhood with Trent Park, which we can probably share a graphic of that as well. We're in the final planning stages of the Trent Park expansion. So the overflow parking lot that's there now, just the dirt lot, will become formalized park space with a warming hut and restrooms and a pump track for the kids, and grass fields and lots of good stuff. But getting the Smith Ranch neighborhood connected to Willowbrook and Trent Park requires this parcel from Excel, and so we have been working for many years to bring that to fruition, and it's good to be at a point where we can actually do that. So. Second reading coming up at the next meeting, but looking to make that connection.
And that connection, it's my understanding, is the last connection on the west side of the valley for our neighborhood-to-neighborhood connections throughout the entire valley on the west side.
Yeah, it's important for a number of reasons beyond the Smith Ranch neighborhood connection to that park. You're right. In our master plans, it's always called for to get those neighborhood-to-neighborhood connections, which is great because it gives you an opportunity to not get onto Highway 9. It gives our public safety folks a good opportunity for quick access between neighborhoods. And you're right, that is the last piece. So you could go from, if you were at Summit Sky Ranch, you could head all the way through town without touching Highway 9 once that connection is established. So yeah, neighborhood to neighborhood connections, really important.
And it's also great that there will be commercial access. When Smith Ranch Commercial is established, there will be access to that without getting on the highway for Willowbrook and Smith Ranch residents.
Right. So hypothetically, someday we know there will be a grocery store at Smith Ranch Commercial, and yeah, those neighborhoods, which, there's a lot of full-time residents. Well, Smith Ranch neighborhood, every single household is full-time, but access, like you said, to that commercial site without having to get on the highway would be great.
Excellent. So I just want to remind everyone that our work sessions and town council meetings are the second and fourth Wednesdays of every month, with the exception of November and December, where we have just one meeting per month. And work sessions start at 4 o'clock and are open to the public, and town council meetings start at 6. And you can find all of that information also on our website. Our next town council meeting is Wednesday, September 14th. Thanks for joining us.